Hi there, Tim Dooling from Analytic Firepower. Talking to you today about American Tower. There's a few things that are really troubling about this company. I've published a series of notes on Seeking Alpha that you can find on that website. But there's a few things that have a lot of subtleties that I'm not sure found its way into the text, and I wanted to take this chance to talk about it live here on video. First off is just overall, the disclosure levels at this company are absolutely at their minimum, and for a while now I've been trying to get information directly from the company, and simply no avail. I've been directed solely to their SEC filings, which were written by lawyers and not analysts. So you're really climbing a wall of in my mind, deceit in this case. There's some really key issues that the company chooses to gloss over time and again. Most particularly about this investigation that's been going on since last June. American Tower had a informal investigation taking place ahead of that, which they chose not to cooperate with, which is what resulted in the formalization of the investigation and subsequent subpoena in June of last year. Here we are, April 29th today, and no information other than a recognition of its materiality has come out of the company. Just to review, companies as a rule don't need, well, they're not obliged to disclose anything that they do not deem as material to the business. The fact that they did disclose this investigation by default means that it is material in their minds. The company's gone on to really try to sweep this under the rug, and a lot of really noticeable changes in both their filings and their discussions of this. I found it very interesting that in their risk disclosures in their 10-K, which was written as of 12/31/2011, however it was published late in February after some very material changes had happened to the business, specifically in India. The company noted specific changes in their risk disclosures around changes in licensing regimes and ownership limits in India, things that I've discussed in some of the notes on Seeking Alpha. But the fact that they chose to change that language in their 10-K after the end of the year really means to me that there's something coming here. The company reports earnings next week, this week, and we'll see. But I wanted to put this video up first off just to try my hand at HTML programming, but more importantly just to get that out there, that I think that a couple of really key things have happened in India this quarter that the company would be remiss if it didn't address them. 122 licenses, operating licenses, were revoked in India by the Indian Supreme Court as a result of an ongoing corruption scandal. And the main corrupt person was the former Minister of Communications, this fellow, Mr. Raja. He's currently in jail. The outlook doesn't look good for him, but my point is that any business transactions that AMT would have entered into in India would very likely have involved him in a meaningful way. He would have signed off on anything, and he is now, by all accounts, well, he's awaiting trial, but by many accounts, if you Google India cell scam, you'll get full details there. At any rate, AMT finds itself very much in the center of this, and have chosen to turn the spotlight, attempt to turn the spotlight onto other emerging markets where they operate, places like Ghana and Uganda. I published a note today which talks more specifically about those, and it's definitely an uphill battle, I suppose is the word I'm looking for on that one, in those particular countries. So in India, you have the 122 licenses that were revoked. According to my analysis, that would have accounted for really a very large swath of American Tower's clients there. The reason for that is that India is a place that's controlled by some very large groups which certainly in the tower industry, there's an outfit called Indus Towers that owns over 120,000 towers, I believe, in India, and they're owned by the big three: Vodafone, Bharti Airtel. Another name escapes me at the moment, but the big operators have an equity participation interest in the biggest competitor of AMT in India. So that would indicate to me that the towers which AMT bought were largely inhabited by the second and third tier operators, all of whom had their licenses revoked. So some really radical changes there in India. And then you add on to that this idea that the Indian government is coming up with foreign ownership caps, which would be a significant problem for American Tower going forward. But even more fundamentally is the current tax regime and tax implications of new taxes that the Indian government has come up with to plug its structural deficit. And what I mean specifically there are revenue shares for tower operators. So basically just a flat out, how much money did you get out of your tower, send us a portion of it because we're the government, which the Indian government is in its fully has the authority to do that. The other one, sorry, is has to do with, I'm coming up blank and shooting from the cuff, shooting from the hip here, but the other tax situation that is in a retroactive transaction tax for transactions between offshore entities which owned assets in India, retroactive to 1962, I believe. This would put American Tower front and center, and so the very fundamental validity, if you will, of their purchase, their just shy of $1 billion purchase of assets in India, really comes into question for the tax authorities. They went over there this very week to try to plead their case with the Indian government, and the silence around the results of their trip is somewhat deafening in my mind, because in my experience, when you turn up in India and you're ready to write a check, you generally receive quite a warm reception, but when you're over there to plead your case as to why you should pay them less taxes, generally it's not a very warm conversation. Don't forget that the Indian government is fully within its rights to assert its ability to tax assets that are within its borders, and we'll see. It's not the kind of thing that the American Tower can just strong arm like they've done in other places in the past, and so we'll see what happens. But anyway, more for me to come on that. This is largely a test. But if you like the kind of analysis I do, I'm available for any other projects you might have. All my contact details, certainly, if you click through to this video, you'll find them as well. Okay, thanks. See you. Bye.